Yo, what it do, y'all? Welcome back to Fandom Frequency. This is a channel where we break into the entire multiverse of pop culture, anime, music, TV shows, comic books, anything, and all of that and in between. We cover it around here in these parts. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. We do a lot of different things around here: reactions, reviews, recaps, rankings. But today we have a spoiler filled review for y'all. And you've seen the thumbnail, you can read the title. This is a big one, personally, at least for your boy right here. I'm your host, Kenny, and this was one of my most anticipated films coming into the year of 2023. It's been 6 years since the last installment of this amazing trilogy that is the Guardians of the Galaxy. That's right, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 just dropped in theaters this past weekend as of the recording of this video right here. And we're going to be getting into our full-on spoiler-filled review. We're going to get into a little bit of background on the trilogy, where our fandom lies with it, all the things we liked, all the things we disliked, and everything in between. We're going to get into it right here, right now. Don't touch that dial. So, as we get into the film that is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I said that weird the first time, but here we go, guys. And just giving you my overall background as a Marvel / Guardians fan. Those of you that have watched the channel before are very well aware that we love the MCU around these parts, especially your boy right here. I was there in theaters Father's Day weekend, 2008, with my padre, watching the original Iron Man. I've been here with the fandom of the MCU from the beginning, going to be there until the very end, whenever the hell that is. I love me some MCU. I can criticize certain things that don't work as well, but I always got a lot of love and a lot of praise for the things that do work, and I can take it all in very equal measure. But in all, we love these characters. We love this universe, man. So let's just have that out of the way right there. You know what I'm saying? Got to keep it real. Got to critique the certain things that don't work, but let's try to remember, it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's superheroes and capes and villains and aliens. Let's have some fun, man. Let's have some fun. I feel like this MCU conversations lately, man, online, I'm getting so damn negative, man. So unfun. Did I love She-Hulk? No. Did I love Thor, Love, and Thunder? No. Did I love Eternals? No. But Loki was one of the best TV shows I've ever watched in my life. WandaVision was as well, at least personally for me. WandaVision was an excellent series, in my opinion. Wakanda Forever, very well done film. Made me feel emotions I haven't felt in a long time in film, not just the MCU. And it's no different with Spider-Man No Way Home, and it is definitely no different with this film right here. I absolutely love this film. It's not perfect. It isn't changing the game, but the one thing that it is reinventing the wheel with when it comes to the Guardians of the Galaxy in particular is the fact that this takes a darker, more dramatic turn. You've probably heard that in a lot of the other non-spoiler reviews, reactions, and all of the sort, all of the above, whether it's social media reactions, Twitter, whatever, right? So y'all have probably heard this before, but it's definitely true. This one is not quite for the under 9-8 range. There is some pretty intense stuff going on with animals and all that stuff, and James Gunn doesn't shy away from the darker nature of getting into Rocket's backstory and getting into the High Evolutionary as the villain, what he's all about and what he does, manipulating different species and splicing them together and doing all these crazy experiments, all in the pursuit of trying to create the perfect being, right? So all these darker themes and somewhat animal cruelty kind of things going on with this film really brings in a much darker, dramatic element. But there's also other elements of this film, for me, that work really well in that regard with bringing the darkness in, and not just with Rocket's backstory, but also with Peter Quill essentially having lost everyone close to him and it driving him to the point of becoming an alcoholic, and that's where we pick up with him in the beginning of the film. And for me, it was a very, very powerful kind of place to see Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord, in, going from him dancing around to Come Get Your Love on his Walkman over there pulling off a heist in the beginning of the first film. There ain't no shaking of the pelvis, you know what I'm saying? He is down and out at the moment. And Rocket's all melancholy, bumping the tunes on the Zune, doing some Radiohead acoustic stuff, you know what I'm saying? And it's a much more dour, sour note that we're beginning things off in the film, and it's just a little bit more of a darker tone. Don't get me wrong, and don't let that fool you. There is plenty of laughs to be had. This might be the funniest that Drax and Nebula have ever been. Or not Nebula, I'm sorry, Mantis. But Nebula has some very fun moments as well. I absolutely love the dynamic of Drax and Mantis carrying over from the holiday special. Absolutely wonderful stuff. And the whole familial aspect of the Guardians, the whole way that all these characters feel connected as a family, with Mantis being Peter Quill's real-life half-sister, with him missing Gamora, the original version that he knows, not this alternate timeline variant that has no feelings or memories of the Guardians whatsoever. So the feeling of loss, the feeling of grief, the feeling of a love lost really rings true in not just Peter Quill, but in the entire cast of characters in this film. And the Guardians have always been this dysfunctional family of ragtag rebels and freaks and not so good people, I guess you could say, in a certain sense, coming together to create their own family and their own unit. And they've learned to grow, have fun, argue, and all the above as a family. And that rings so true here in this film. And the whole entire theme of family, letting go, and a new beginning just rings so true in this thing, and is done so well. And every character gets a moment to shine, has some sort of character development or some kind of real character arc to really bring everything full circle, especially with the character Peter Quill and the character of Rocket Raccoon, baby. Actually said it for the first time, y'all. That's how much he's actually moved on and evolved and changed. He's willing to admit he's a raccoon. He's not going to fight everybody that calls him that. He called himself Rocket Raccoon. I never thought I'd ever hear it in these movies because I thought they completely abandoned that from the comics. But as we can see, James Gunn was playing the long game in true blue MCU fashion. So that's always fun to see there. And just absolutely fell in love with this thing, man. The action scenes were actually taking it up a little bit on another level than I would say the first two films, man. There was one particular hallway sequence that to me was giving me John Wick vibes and Daredevil vibes, you know what I'm saying? So the fact that they were able to pull that off with being a little more or less martial arts focused, but still having that precision with the camera and showing all the action in frame and slow-mo, all to the fucking rhythm and tempo of one of the greatest hip-hop tracks ever made, No Sleep Till Brooklyn, baby. Beastie Boys up in this bitch. You gotta love it. Is it a cliche song that's been used plenty of times in film? Sure. But the way it was executed here, excellent stuff, man. There's so many standout fun moments like that. So many funny bits with Drax, like him trying to lay down on the couch and it continuously having to tell him to sit up. And he's like, it's oblong shaped. Why the hell would they make it like that? What else is it here for? It's for people to sit upright next to each other. And he's like, what the hell is the purpose of that? And Peter Quill's just like, oh, God. When they're talking to the Counter-Earth people over there, all the alien, weird, human animal hybrid things, whatever you want to call them, whatever you want to identify as, if you will. And yeah, man, but just everything overall with the characters and the story really worked well for me. Do have a few issues with the villain and whatnot. We'll get more into that in the mix to negative section of the review, but really just love this movie overall. Was such a satisfying conclusion and was very, very well done, and really does end the Guardians trilogy in the best way possible, in my opinion. But now it's time for us to dig a little bit deeper and get into some of those big positives and character arcs and moments that really stuck out to me that I haven't already gotten into. And one character that I haven't mentioned as much so far, but I definitely wanted to highlight her because I feel like there's been so much growth with this character throughout the MCU, and especially in this Guardians trilogy, of course. I feel like she is one of the most well-developed characters with the biggest transformation and the biggest well-defined character arc, I think, out of most of the characters in the whole MCU. Seeing from where she started in Phase 2 in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 in 2014 just under a decade ago, where she was completely taking herself too seriously, super aggressive, was just full of rage, no compassion or empathy for anyone else or anything else going on. And to see where she's gone now, to where she's actually moving on from being a member of the Guardians at the end of the film and wants to stay there and be more of the mayor or more of a leader and more of someone that the people can look to on the planet that they call home now, which is nowhere, which ties all the way back to the first film as well, where the Collector used to have his hangout setting up, or where his hangout used to be out before Thanos took him out and got that Power Stone. Not Power Stone, my bad. I believe that was the what stone was that? It's the ether, but what stone was that? Can't remember, y'all. I feel like a freaking faker over here. Y'all let me know in the comments what the hell that damn soul stone was called that they took. But anyway, Thanos went over there, wrecked shop, did all that, and the Guardians have now kind of made that their new home base. And for those of you that did watch the Guardians holiday special this past November, November, you were definitely getting rewarded with all these Easter eggs here and continuing plot threads in from the last film. And speaking of which, with the holiday special, they even brought back the whole thing of Kevin Bacon getting kidnapped and telling his whole alien abduction story of how he taught them about Christmas and played with the 1993s or whatever. So that was a lot of fun to see all those different callbacks to the holiday special, all coming back around. The Zarg nuts or whatever the hell there was going on when freaking Drax is like, oh yeah, there was no more left. And then once she looks away, he eats the last one all quick like she didn't notice. So fucking funny, man. So many fun moments, man. But yeah, I just wanted to give a big shout out to Nebula. I just loved seeing where her character has grown to and her telling Gamora not to kill and really seeing that dichotomy between the new, more well-developed, redeemed Nebula dealing with a more rougher around the edges, much more I don't give a fuck, Stone Cold type attitude going on with the new timeline Gamora and everything going on with her and Peter Quill. I thought was such an interesting and somewhat heartbreaking love story of how sometimes you got to learn to let go, move on, and find something new. And if you really do love and care for that person, sometimes when things don't work and you're at the end of the road, sometimes it is best to let it go, because that is truly showing love, to allow them to find happiness somewhere and with someone else. So that to me just really rang true in this film altogether. And then the obvious one with Rocket being kind of the heart of the story, the big inciting incident with Adam Warlock coming in and damn near taking him out, all kicks off everything, man. And I gotta say, everything they did with Rocket was just absolutely phenomenal. I love the whole story from how he became a sentient raccoon that can speak and talk and do all these things and be completely even more scientifically brilliant than the high evolutionary himself. I love getting to see him and his friends like Lola, and all these different animal creatures, if you will, that were also fellow experiments of Batch 89, as they were called, which was all these different versions he had been creating, incinerating, and redoing again to create the perfect ultimate version of an advanced species, thousands of years ahead of where it's supposed to be in the blink of an eye. And Batch 89, that Rocket is a part of, was a whole big part of that. And the whole backstory and the whole dynamic back and forth between the high evolutionary and Rocket as a child really just shows you why he is the way he is, why he moves the way he moves throughout the galaxy, and why he feels about being a raccoon the way that he does. You know what I'm saying? But it was just completely tragic stuff. But the way that everything comes full circle after Rocket comes to, can actually pitch in and help save the day, and then inevitably by the end of the film, by Star-Lord's wish or whatever, is now the new official leader of the Guardians. Rocket is the captain now. I am the captain now. Look at me. I'm the captain now. You know what I'm saying? So Rocket is the captain, like he was fucking around saying in Infinity War. It all comes around full circle, baby. I don't know if that was a long game or just a coincidence, but it all comes back around full circle, y'all. And just a few mixed to negative elements for me personally in this film. One of them being Adam Warlock. I do feel like that character was a little bit of a letdown. I do honestly think that at the end of the day, he essentially could have been any other character. He was really just a glorified henchman for about 75 to 85% of the film. And then that last bit when he saves Peter Quill and kind of helps out save the day and becomes a full-on official member of the Guardians himself, as we see from the mid-credit scene and everything like that, getting a taste of the new lineup that could be potentially down the road in the future, Phase 5 and beyond. But that was the way that all played out there. And, you got the introduction of Phi Lavelle up in here that kind of slipped in through the cracks. That definitely surprised me as well. But yeah, let me see. Is there any other mixed to negative elements I'm trying to think of here? The soundtrack, while it's dope, don't get me wrong, y'all, I definitely love me some of this Volume 3 soundtrack. I do feel like a couple songs were a little bit out of place overall in the scenes that they were placed in this film, but I actually listened to the soundtrack twice now, once about a week or two before the movie dropped when James Gunn released it on Spotify, and I also listened to it one time all the way through again the day after I saw Guardians over the past weekend. So I've listened to the album twice all the way through now, and I just feel like as a standalone soundtrack to an awesome movie, just as a musical soundtrack with just a collection of dope songs, great. I just think there's a few songs that definitely did not fit the scenes as seamlessly as a lot of the stuff from Volume 2, and especially all the tracks in Volume 1 that just fit seamlessly into every scene in every part of the script in the story that he was telling. And but other than Adam Warlock and other than that, I don't really have a lot of huge negatives for this one. Only big negative I have for this film, truly for me, is that it's too fucking long, man. I honestly feel like James Gunn could have totally cut out about 10 to 15 minutes of this. We still would have got the point across with Rocket, and everything still would have hit the same, at least for me personally, because right around that 2-hour mark, it feels like it's starting to overstay its welcome just a little bit. And the other Guardians films, if I'm not mistaken, are barely over 2 hours, if 2 hours at that. So I do feel like they do need to kind of pull back on some of these blockbuster runtimes. But who the hell's listening to me when it comes to those things, right? But that's essentially it for this one, man. Love this film. Very satisfying conclusion to the trilogy. One of my favorite trilogies in the MCU, bar none. One of my favorite trilogies in years. And it's going to go down in one of the best trilogies of all time. Mark my words. You heard it here first. But hey, let me know what you thought about this film down below in the comments. I want to know if you loved it, hated it, kind of liked it, kind of didn't like it, fell somewhere in between, all of that. I want to hear all the opinions from all the different points in the spectrum. So make sure you're doing that down below in those comments. Click all the buttons below the video, like, share, subscribe, yada, yada, yada. Y'all know the deal. And make sure you're not sleeping on any of the dope content we got going on right now. Game of Thrones review series is going down. We got a lot of stuff coming in the month of June. We got some niche movie reviews coming down the pipeline as well. So make sure you're not missing any of that dopeness. I'm going to go ahead and give this film a 9 out of 10. Love me some Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Make sure you go out as soon as possible, if not right now after you just watched this. If you don't mind spoilers, go out and see it. If you already saw it, go and see it again. Share this review with all your friends, family, coworkers, and all the above. And until we see you again, make sure you stay tuned, don't sleep. Much love. Peace out.